Have you ever wondered what was on the dinner table before pizza and burgers? Let's travel back in time and explore the incredible diets of the original inhabitants of the Americas. You might think it was all just corn and bison, but the real story is so much richer and more diverse. From the icy Arctic to the steamy Amazon, Native American cuisine was a masterclass in using what the land provides. First, let's talk about the famous Three Sisters. This isn't a story about siblings, but about a brilliant agricultural system. Corn, beans, and squash were planted together. The corn stalks provided a natural pole for the beans to climb. The beans, in turn, fixed nitrogen in the soil, which is a superfood for plants. And the large, sprawling leaves of the squash shaded the ground, keeping weeds at bay and moisture in the soil. It was a perfect partnership. These three were staples for many tribes, especially in North and Central America. They could be roasted, boiled into stews, or ground into flour for bread. Imagine fresh cornbread, a hearty bean stew, and roasted squash, a delicious and perfectly balanced meal. But not everyone was a farmer. Geography played a huge role in what people ate. In the Pacific Northwest, the ocean was the ultimate grocery store. Tribes like the Tlingit and Haida were expert fishermen. Salmon was king. They developed sophisticated techniques to catch massive amounts of salmon during their yearly runs. They would smoke and dry the fish to preserve it for the winter months. Besides salmon, they feasted on halibut, herring, and even whales. They also gathered shellfish, seaweed, and berries from the lush coastal forests. It was a diet rich in omega-3 South, long before we knew what those were. Now, let's head to the Great Plains. When you think of the Plains tribes, like the Lakota or Cheyenne, the image of the bison hunt probably comes to mind. And for good reason. The bison, or buffalo, was central to their way of life. It was their supermarket on the hoof. A successful hunt provided not just meat, but resources for almost everything. The meat was eaten fresh or dried into jerky, a special food. Called pemmican was a high-energy trail mix made from dried meat, melted fat, and sometimes berries. It was lightweight, nutritious, and could last for years, making it the perfect food for nomadic people. But they didn't live on meat alone. They also gathered wild turnips, choke cherries, and other edible plants. Down in the hot, arid Southwest, life was different. The ancestral Pueblones, ancestors of today's Pueblo peoples like the Hopi and Zuni, were incredible desert farmers. They developed amazing irrigation systems to grow their crops in a dry land. Corn was a sacred crop, and they cultivated many different varieties. They also grew beans, squash, and even cotton. They supplemented their diet by hunting small game like rabbits and gathering desert plants like prickly pear, cactus, and yucca. Their ability to thrive in such a harsh environment is truly a testament to their ingenuity. What about the eastern woodlands? Stretching from the Atlantic coast to the Mississippi River. This vast area was home to tribes like the Iroquois and Cherokee. They had a mixed economy. They were skilled farmers, cultivating the Three Sisters, sunflowers, and tobacco. But they also hunted. Deer was a primary source of meat, along with turkey, bear, and smaller animals, deer. The forests were also a bounty of nuts like acorns and chestnuts, which they would grind into flour. And with so many rivers and lakes, fishing was also an important part of their diet. Let's not forget the extreme environments. In the Arctic, the Inuit and Aleut peoples had a diet almost entirely based on animals because plants were so scarce. They hunted seals, walruses, whales, and caribou. Their diet was very high in fat, which was essential for staying warm in the freezing temperatures. They ate every part of the animal, ensuring no resource was wasted. This practice also provided them with essential vitamins and minerals that they couldn't get from plants. And deep in the Amazon rainforest, indigenous groups have a diet that's as diverse as the rainforest itself. They practice a form of agriculture called slash and burn, which sounds destructive, but, when done traditionally on a small scale, is quite sustainable. They grow crops like manioc, also known as cassava, sweet potatoes, and bananas. They also hunt monkeys, tapirs, and birds, and fish in the thousands of rivers that crisscross the jungle. Plus, they have an encyclopedic knowledge of the millions of plants in their home, gathering fruits, nuts, and medicinal herbs. So, what can we learn from all this? Native American diets were incredibly healthy, sustainable, and adaptable. They were based on whole, unprocessed foods that were locally sourced. There's no single Native American diet, but rather hundreds of different diets, each one perfectly tailored to its environment. They understood the seasons, the land, and the delicate balance of nature. Many of these traditional foods are still enjoyed today and are making a comeback through the indigenous food sovereignty movement. Chefs and community leaders are working to revitalize these culinary traditions, reintroducing ancient ingredients and promoting healthy, sustainable ways of eating. From wild rice and maple syrup in the Great Lakes region to amaranth and chia seeds from Mesoamerica, these superfoods have been nourishing people for millennia. Next time you eat corn on the cob, a bean burrito, or a piece of salmon, take a moment to think about the long and fascinating history behind your food. It's a story of innovation, resilience, and a deep connection to the earth. The culinary legacy of Native Americans is a gift that continues to enrich our tables and our understanding of what it means to eat well. Thanks for joining me on this culinary journey through history. Found this interesting? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more explorations into the past. See you next time.